The release of Palworld has been a chaotic one to say the least. Although the game has been in production for at least like 5 to 6 years, it's only now being recognised by the wider gaming community. Some are recognising it as an incredible adventure game with amazing mechanics and features. Some are recognising it for, well, to put it bluntly, plagiarism. X, formerly known as Twitter, has been a gigantic cesspit as of late, simply due to a vast amount of people calling Palworld out for being a lazy, AI-generated, sloppy mess rip-off Pokemon game. As of writing this script, Palworld is averaging around 818,000 concurrent players and is growing rapidly. That is huge for a new release. It gained over 1 million downloads in just under 8 hours. These are insane numbers, but why? The simple answer is controversy. I mentioned earlier that the Palworld community has been eagerly waiting for the game to launch and have been hyping it up ever since the very first trailer. Obviously this hype didn't catch on to the wider gaming community until Palworld was released, but that was helped massively by the fans. Although a lot of people were extremely excited and happy with the game, others are not so excited. Numerous people have been speaking out heavily against the game, more specifically the designs of the pals themselves. I have mentioned in this video right here that there are quite a few similar looking pals when comparing them to different Pokemon. A lot of people seem to believe that the developers of Palworld purposefully ripped Pokemon models and did a slight redesign on them. Tweets have been surfacing showcasing what this process would have looked like, and from the results a lot of people concluded that this is concrete evidence of plagiarism. Except it's not. You see, the person who conducted this experiment and made this tweet accusing the Palworld devs of plagiarism has come out and said that the images shown were in fact fabricated. None of this quote-unquote evidence shown on screen is valid, as it was modified to fit the agenda of the original poster. That's Twitter for you. But let's move on to a different take on the matter. Some believe that the developers have ripped the models from Pokemon and put them through some form of AI software to create these new pals. Now, we all know Twitter isn't the best place to get your sources of information, considering things like this exist on the website. But this theory of Palworld devs ripping Pokemon designs and putting them through an AI software is pretty plausible when looking at the evidence. One of the creators of Palworld has previously dabbled in AI technology when creating designs. A lot of people have taken this and just ran with it, claiming that AI was used to create all of the pals within Palworld. Now, the evidence for this is very slippery. There doesn't seem to be any full concrete evidence displaying the devs using AI to create these new pals. However, there has to be consideration for this point that a lot of the pals do look incredibly similar to some Pokemon. Whether or not it was a result of using AI technology, we don't truly know yet. Until there is undeniable proof of AI being used, we can only speculate. This claim of AI being used has sent a lot of artists into a deep anger, stating that if game developers can get away with using AI on already existing IPs with a huge organizations such as Nintendo, then who is stopping these devs from ripping designs from smaller indie companies? To be honest, if these accusations are true, I do feel a sense of remorse for smaller artists. The possibility of their hard work and passion being plagiarized by a company to then make millions of dollars off of it doesn't sit well with me. But like I stated before, we do need to give it time so as to get down to the full truth of what happened when developing this game. Right now, there does seem to be a lot of hatred being thrown around between those with differing opinions on the game. This malice when speaking to others within the same community is not something we should be perpetuating. It's dumb. I myself have stated my opinion on the game, as has basically everyone within the gaming community. However, I am open to debates and discussion, whereas some people, on the other hand, are just straight up vile human beings. Things have got so bad that the developers of Palworld have received droves of death threats. Whether or not these have come from gamers within the Pokemon community or elsewhere, this is not right. You can have your opinions on something and be as passionate as you want, but you overstep the line when you straight up harass and threaten others. Your argument then becomes completely irrelevant. The mindset I have for this game is if you want to play it, and play it without guilt. Don't let others dictate what you can and can't play. If you dislike the game, then don't play it. Remove yourself from what you don't believe in. It's as simple as that. In some cases, it's not as simple as that when it comes to artists, but again, we need evidence for this. There has been some good things to come out of the release of Palworld. Those who are playing the game are super impressed by what it has given us. Palworld is a survival game at its core, and this is on full display when playing the game. The graphics are beautiful, the gameplay is incredible, and the sheep are sheeping. I have a lot of praise for this game, but like I mentioned earlier, this opinion may change if a verdict is reached on the plagiarism accusations. Now for the nitty gritty. I have to say, Palworld has just raised more questions for me. There's been a debate over the last couple of days stating that Palworld is an overall good thing for Pokemon fans because it gives the Pokemon Company and Game Freak more competition. Competition in a market that has honestly been dominated by Pokemon for over 2 decades. I have to agree with this sentiment. Not only does it give more variety for those in the Pokemon community, but it also acts as a significant gap that Game Freak has missed for years. TPC has been pumping out Pokemon games every year for the last couple of years. This time frame for the developers just isn't sufficient enough to make an outstanding game. Palworld took over 5 years to make, and it really does show when taking even a small look at it. TPC and Game Freak need to make this an opportunity to improve. If the developers of Pokemon games were given more time and more creative freedom, we might just get something that is worth playing, unlike Scarlet and Violet, which I have my own opinions on. In quick summary, I do think that they're okay games, but there's too much wrong with them for me to warrant a decent rating. It's obvious that Game Freak are aware of Palworld's success, and hopefully this pushes them forward in the right direction to take their time when making these Pokemon games. The reception will be the best they've had in years, and if they could just take their time, the world would be right. Even though this is my opinion, I do still understand and appreciate others' opinions. Some say that this quote-unquote competition is just a stupid idea, simply because they can't get over the fact that Palworld in their eyes is a plagiarized AI generated mess. No matter what eventually comes out of this Palworld discourse, one thing is for sure: I love Pokemon. It was my childhood. It's the reason I started YouTube. No other game will ever hold more value to me. Palworld is a new game that I happen to enjoy. Yes, it has its controversies, but if you enjoy playing the game, then go for it. Whatever helps you escape from everyday life, do it.